The morning was unusually quiet in Seoul. Dr. Hyun Kang stood by the large glass window of the International Genetic Research Center, watching the silver spacecraft descend from the pale blue sky. Its metallic surface reflected the sunlight, creating a strange shimmer that made people stop and stare. The Eldrin delegation arrived with promises that seemed too good to be true. They carried advanced medical technology that could potentially cure diseases humanity had battled for decades. Governments worldwide had welcomed them with open arms, desperate for solutions to complex health challenges. Hyun adjusted her white laboratory coat and narrowed her eyes. Something felt different about these visitors. Their movements were too precise, their smiles too calculated. While other scientists celebrated the potential breakthrough, she remained skeptical. During the initial presentation, the Eldrin representatives demonstrated their medical technology. Holographic images showed complex molecular structures that promised to revolutionize human health. They spoke about genetic repair, immune system enhancement, and disease prevention. World leaders listened, intently, their faces filled with hope. Dr. Kang watched carefully. Her years of research had taught her to look beyond the surface. She noticed subtle inconsistencies in their genetic models. Microscopic markers hidden within the molecular structures suggested something more sinister than healing. While other researchers accepted the technology enthusiastically, Hyun began her own secret investigation. She collected samples, ran multiple tests, and cross-referenced the Eldrin's genetic proposals with existing human genome databases. Her colleague, Jae-woo Park, noticed her increasing tension. "What's wrong?" he asked during a late-night research session. "These genetic models," Hyun whispered, pointing at her computer screen, "they're not designed to heal. They're designed to do something else." The research center buzzed with excitement about the new medical breakthrough. International news channels celebrated the Eldrin's arrival as a potential turning point for human medicine. Hospitals prepared to implement the new technology, and governments signed massive contracts. Hyun worked silently, her fingers moving quickly across computer keyboards. She isolated genetic sequences, ran complex simulations, and analyzed potential interactions. Each test revealed more questions than answers. Her suspicion grew stronger with each passing hour. The Eldrin's technology wasn't a cure, it was a carefully designed genetic intervention. But to what end? Outside her laboratory, the world continued its normal routine. People walked streets, went to work, and discussed the miraculous medical breakthrough. Children played in parks, unaware of the potential threat lurking within the promised cure. Hyun contacted a few trusted colleagues from different research institutions. They began sharing encrypted data, comparing notes, and building a comprehensive understanding of the Eldrin's genetic proposal. Days turned into weeks. The first batch of treatment was prepared for global distribution. Millions of people were set to receive what they believed was a miraculous medical solution. But Dr. Kang knew something was fundamentally wrong. Her final analysis revealed a chilling truth. The genetic sequence contained hidden markers designed to systematically suppress human genetic potential. It wasn't a cure. It was a carefully designed biological weapon disguised as medical technology. The Eldrin hadn't come to help humanity. They had come to control it. As the first global distribution date approached, Hyun realized she had little time. She needed to warn the world, to expose the hidden agenda behind the seemingly benevolent medical breakthrough. Her hands trembled slightly as she compiled her research. Every scientific protocol, every research standard demanded concrete proof, and she was determined to provide exactly that. The spacecraft remained stationed near Seoul, a silent sentinel watching humanity's unsuspecting population. Its metallic surface continued to reflect sunlight, betraying nothing of the potential threat it carried. Dr. Hyun Kang knew her next steps would change everything. The silent invasion had begun, and she was humanity's first line of defense. Little did she know that the Eldrin's plan would trigger something they could never have anticipated, a genetic response that would reshape the entire human species. The first drops of the cure were about to be administered, and everything was about to change. Jae-woo Park stared at the computer screen, his coffee growing cold beside him. The genetic data from the first test subjects was unlike anything he had ever seen before. Strange mutations were appearing in blood samples from hospitals around the world. At first, doctors thought it was a mistake. Patients who received the Eldrin treatment were showing unexpected changes. A construction worker in Brazil reported healing from a severe back injury in hours. A cancer patient in Japan suddenly displayed increased muscle strength. A retired professor in Russia demonstrated enhanced cognitive abilities. These were not normal medical recoveries. Something fundamental was happening at the genetic level. Hyun burst into the laboratory, her eyes wild with excitement and fear. "Look at these results," she said, pointing at the screen. Jae-woo had already been analyzing the data for hours. The genetic markers they discovered were unlike any previous medical intervention. Instead of suppressing human capabilities, as they initially suspected, the Eldrin treatment was triggering unprecedented genetic transformations. "This isn't a weapon," Jae-woo whispered. "This is something else entirely." Their research center became a secret hub of investigation. They worked through nights, cross-referencing data from different countries, building a comprehensive picture of the genetic changes. Military and government officials remained unaware of the true nature of these transformations. News reports continued to present the Eldrin treatment as a medical miracle. People celebrated the apparent breakthrough, unaware of the fundamental changes happening within their bodies. Hyun discovered that the genetic modification wasn't uniform. Some individuals showed more dramatic changes than others. Younger people seemed more responsive to the genetic intervention. Athletes and physically active individuals demonstrated more significant transformations. One blood sample from a 25-year-old athlete showed remarkable changes. His cellular regeneration had increased by 300%. Muscle tissue repaired itself at an impossible speed. Neurological connections appeared more complex and efficient. "They wanted to weaken us," Hyun told Jae-woo, "but they've done the opposite." Global medical databases started showing strange patterns. Hospitals reported reduced disease rates. Chronic conditions began disappearing. People who had been considered permanently disabled started showing unexpected recoveries. The Eldrin had made a critical miscalculation. Jae-woo began mapping the genetic changes. Each new data point revealed more complexity. The human body was responding to the genetic intervention in ways no one could have predicted. Their research required absolute secrecy. If government agencies or the Eldrin discovered their findings, they might attempt to suppress the information. Every document was encrypted. Every conversation was carefully monitored. Military research facilities started noticing the changes. Soldiers undergoing the treatment showed increased strength, faster healing, and enhanced cognitive abilities. Physical training times reduced dramatically. Reaction speeds improved beyond normal human capabilities. "We need to understand the full extent of these changes," Hyun said, reviewing another set of test results. The global scientific community remained divided. Some researchers celebrated the apparent medical breakthrough. Others remained skeptical, demanding more comprehensive studies. Hyun and Jae-woo knew they were sitting on the most significant scientific discovery in human history. The Eldrin's attempt to control humanity had backfired spectacularly. Their small research team worked tirelessly, collecting data, running simulations, and understanding the genetic transformations. Each day brought new surprises, new revelations about human potential. The world continued its normal routine, unaware that a genetic revolution was quietly unfolding. Millions of people carried within them the potential for extraordinary change. Jae-woo looked at Hyun. "What do we do now?" he asked. Hyun's eyes reflected determination. "We prepare. Something big is coming." Outside, the Eldrin spacecraft remained silent, its true intentions now completely exposed. Humanity was changing, evolving in ways no alien civilization could have anticipated. The discovery was just the beginning. The real transformation was about to start. Lieutenant Soo-jin Kim watched the training ground with intense concentration. The soldiers moving before her were different, fundamentally changed by the genetic transformation that had swept across the planet. 3 months after the initial Eldrin treatment, human capabilities had shifted dramatically. Young soldiers demonstrated abilities that seemed impossible just weeks earlier. A recruit could now run 15 miles without breaking a sweat. Another lifted weights that would have crushed normal human muscles. The military research wing worked overtime. Every soldier who had received the Eldrin treatment showed remarkable improvements. Reaction times increased by 200%. Physical endurance reached superhuman levels. Cognitive processing became sharper, faster, more efficient. Sujin reviewed the medical reports. Some soldiers could heal minor wounds within minutes. Their immune systems had become nearly impenetrable. Brain activity showed enhanced neural connections that allowed faster decision-making and improved strategic thinking. At the research center, scientists worked frantically to understand the transformation. Blood samples revealed complex genetic modifications. The human body was rewriting its own code, adapting to changes that no one had predicted. Children born to parents who had received the treatment showed even more dramatic changes. Their genetic structure appeared more complex, more resilient. Medical experts began to realize this was more than a temporary modification. It was an evolutionary leap. Global communication networks buzzed with reports of extraordinary human achievements. A construction worker in New York lifted machinery that would have required multiple people. A medical student in Tokyo solved complex medical problems in record time. An athlete in Brazil demonstrated physical capabilities that defied previous human limitations. The Eldrin's plan had backfired completely. Military strategists recognized the potential immediately. These genetically enhanced humans represented a new form of human capability. Traditional warfare concepts would need complete reimagining. Sujin's own body had changed. She could now process information faster, react more quickly, and maintain physical performance at levels previously unimaginable. Her team became a testing ground for understanding these new human capabilities. Research centers around the world collaborated secretly. They tracked the genetic changes, mapped the transformations, and tried to understand the full extent of human potential. Some changes were subtle: increased mental clarity, better emotional regulation, enhanced problem-solving skills. Others were more dramatic: increased strength, faster healing, extended physical endurance. The world watched in a mixture of fear and excitement. Governments struggled to understand the implications. Military organizations began restructuring their entire approach to human capability. Elderly individuals who had received the treatment showed remarkable reversals in age-related decline. Chronic diseases disappeared. Physical limitations became memories of the past. Sujin understood this was just the beginning. The human species was experiencing a transformation that would redefine everything they knew about human potential. In laboratories, hospitals, and military facilities, researchers worked tirelessly. Each new discovery revealed more about the extraordinary genetic changes happening across the planet. The Eldrin had intended to weaken humanity. Instead, they had unleashed humanity's greatest evolutionary potential. Global communication networks struggled to keep up with the rapidly changing human capabilities. News channels ran constant updates about the mysterious genetic transformation. Sujin watched a group of soldiers complete an obstacle course that would have been impossible months earlier. Their movements were fluid, precise, almost superhuman. She knew the world was changing. Humanity was evolving at a pace no one could have predicted. The Eldrin's attempt to control had instead unleashed something far more powerful. The transformation was real, and it was just beginning. As night fell, the research center hummed with activity. Computers processed massive amounts of genetic data. Scientists worked through the night, understanding that they were witnessing the most significant moment in human history. Sujin smiled. Humanity had not just survived. They had transformed. Commander Wu Jin Lee stood before the massive holographic display, his enhanced eyes scanning the global strategic map. The world had changed, and with it humanity's approach to defense and survival. The Eldrin had underestimated human adaptability. What they believed would be a systematic weakening had become humanity's greatest strength. Military installations around the globe now housed soldiers with capabilities that defied previous human limitations. Intelligence reports confirmed the Eldrin were preparing a secondary intervention. They had not anticipated the genetic transformation and were now planning a more direct approach to neutralize humanity. Wu Jin's team represented the first wave of genetically enhanced strategic planners. Their cognitive abilities allowed them to process complex scenarios in moments that would have previously taken weeks of analysis. Satellite networks detected unusual movement in deep space. The Eldrin fleet was gathering, their massive ships preparing for what they believed would be a quick conquest. They were wrong. Training facilities had become laboratories of human potential. Soldiers demonstrated abilities that shocked even their own commanders. A single enhanced unit could now accomplish missions that would have required entire battalions in the past. Weapon systems were quickly redesigned to complement the new human capabilities. Advanced neural interfaces allowed soldiers to control complex machinery with mere thought. Tactical communication happened at speeds that made previous communication methods seem primitive. The global scientific community worked in perfect synchronization. Research centers shared data instantly, creating a unified human response to the potential alien threat. Every discovered genetic capability was immediately integrated into strategic planning. Wu Jin reviewed the latest simulation results. The enhanced human soldiers could operate with a level of coordination that seemed almost telepathic. Their bodies recovered from injuries instantaneously. Their mental resilience had become nearly impenetrable. Aerospace engineers developed new spacecraft designs that incorporated the enhanced human genetic capabilities. These were not just machines but extensions of human potential. Each vessel became a living, breathing strategic unit. Global governments, once divided, now stood united. The Eldrin's attempt to weaken humanity had created the most powerful unified human response in history. National boundaries seemed meaningless in the face of this collective transformation. Psychological warfare became obsolete. The enhanced humans could process and neutralize psychological manipulation attempts in milliseconds. Their emotional intelligence and cognitive flexibility made traditional alien manipulation techniques ineffective. Quantum communication networks allowed instant strategic coordination. A soldier in Brazil could coordinate with a unit in Korea with perfect precision. The human network had become a living, breathing intelligence system. The first contact units were prepared. These were not ordinary soldiers but living weapons of unprecedented capability. Their genetic modifications allowed them to adapt to any potential alien environment or technological challenge. Wu Jin understood that this was more than a military response. This was a species-level transformation. Humanity was no longer just defending itself. It was preparing to become a galactic force. Reconnaissance missions revealed the Eldrin's shock. Their intelligence suggested a weak, divided human species. Instead, they found a transformed civilization ready to meet any challenge. Advanced medical facilities could now regenerate entire limbs within hours. Neurological damage became a thing of the past. The human body had become a perfect adaptive machine. The counteroffensive was not just military, it was a complete reimagining of human potential. Every aspect of human society, from education to healthcare, from communication to space exploration, had been fundamentally transformed. Wu Jin looked at the holographic display. The Eldrin fleet approached, believing in their technological superiority. They were about to learn a critical lesson about human resilience. The first wave of enhanced human ships moved into position, silent, precise, absolutely deadly. Humanity was no longer just waiting. Humanity was striking first. Would you like me to modify or expand on this section? Admiral Yeon Hee Choi watched the massive viewscreen as human fleet approached the Eldrin home system. The journey had taken 3 weeks, but for the enhanced human crews it felt like moments. The Eldrin had never expected a counterattack. Their initial plan to weaken humanity had transformed into their greatest miscalculation. Human ships moved. with precision that defied traditional space combat strategies. Each vessel was more than a machine. It was a living, breathing extension of human potential. Yanhee's genetic enhancements allowed her to process multiple strategic scenarios simultaneously. Her mind connected directly with the ship's advanced quantum computer system, creating a perfect human-machine interface. Surrounding her, the bridge crew operated with superhuman efficiency. Communication happened through advanced neural networks. A simple thought could coordinate complex maneuvers across hundreds of spacecraft. The first wave of Eldrin defense platforms appeared. Massive energy weapons powered up, expecting to overwhelm the human fleet. They were wrong. Human ships moved like living organisms. They anticipated attack vectors before the Eldrin could calculate them. Defensive shields absorbed and redirected. Energy weapons with impossible precision. Where traditional spacecraft would have been destroyed, these vessels adapted and counterattacked in milliseconds. Yanhee's genetic modifications allowed her to process information at speeds that would have been impossible just months earlier. She could see potential attack scenarios before they fully developed, redirecting fleet movements with mere thoughts. Genetic research had prepared them for this moment. Every human aboard these ships was more than a soldier. They were a living weapon. Their bodies could survive extreme space conditions. Radiation became meaningless. Extreme gravitational forces meant nothing. The Eldrin communication networks collapsed quickly. Their technological superiority crumbled against human adaptability. Where the aliens expected weakness, they found unprecedented strength. Space became a canvas of human potential. Spacecraft moved with a fluidity that seemed to break known physical laws. Each vessel was a perfect combination of advanced technology and enhanced human capability. Yanhee understood this was more than a military campaign. This was a species-level statement. Humanity was declaring its place in the galactic community. Boarding. Parties moved between ships with impossible speed. Enhanced humans could survive in vacuum for extended periods. Their genetic modifications turned traditional space combat into something entirely new. The Eldrin leadership watched in horror. Their carefully planned genocide had transformed into humanity's greatest moment of triumph. Every attempt to resist was met with a level of adaptability they could not comprehend. Communication intercepts revealed complete Eldrin confusion. Their strategic models had never anticipated this level of human capability. What they believed would be a simple elimination had become their own destruction. Yanhee's fleet moved through the Eldrin system like a surgical instrument, precise, deliberate, unstoppable. Planetary defense systems fell one by one, not through brute force but through an intelligence that anticipated and neutralized threats before they could fully form. The genetic transformation had done more than enhance physical capabilities. It had fundamentally changed human consciousness. Strategic thinking had become something more than calculation. It had become intuition. As the final Eldrin defense platforms collapsed, Yanhee felt something beyond victory. This was a fundamental shift in galactic dynamics. Humanity was no longer a species to be controlled or manipulated. The first transmissions went out across multiple communication bands. A simple message that would reshape galactic understanding. Humanity had arrived. The Eldrin home system became a testament to human potential. Where destruction could have happened, the enhanced humans showed something unexpected. Strategic mercy combined with absolute technological superiority. Yanhee watched the final moments of the campaign. The Eldrin leadership had two choices: surrender or face complete elimination. They chose surrender. Humanity's first interstellar war had lasted less than 72 hours. The genetic modification that was meant to destroy them had instead created the most powerful species the galaxy had ever seen. The transformation was complete. The reckoning had begun.